This year is my dream studio come to life. What I have here is first of all a bed, because I sleep on the floor, controversial. And then I have two plates. These plates sit on two fully collapsible stands, which I got at a hardware supply store. These are two IKEA Alex drawers, and since it is too high for me, I actually need a stand in order to have a normal level when typing. Even more ideal would be a typing height here, where I could maybe pull something out, a keyboard. I have three softboxes, this one, this one, this one, but the only one I actually use is this one, because it's enough, because the light is nice. This is my HP Spectra 15. It's a 2019 edition, and it's a very good notebook. I had it for almost 2 years, maybe even more. It rocks a 1050 Ti, of course the notebook edition, and that's enough for me for video editing, for light video editing. But I try to not edit my videos and record everything in camera to save time and to record more videos, therefore enabling or improving how good I am at speaking rather than how good I am at editing. In the back here, what we have is a USB-A hub. And this USB-A hub connects to my 4 main drives, which are down here. And these 4 main drives are basically the 5 terabyte primary drive where I store media on. This is audio, video, and also photo. Then that's the backup drive, which is a mirror drive, which means it's the same data on there. On here, we have the backup images, so image backups of my notebook, which I do with Acronis. Acronis backup is the name. And then I have a backup of this. The monitor is by LG. It's a 28-inch monitor that is just very, very good. It's a 4K monitor, and my notebook is also a 4K notebook. And this was a main criteria I had for my notebook. And this is also why this setup is a little bit slower compared to a notebook with the same specs without a 4K resolution and a 4K external screen. But this means I can, with this setup, if I need more power, what I can actually do is I can connect via Thunderbolt, since my notebook has 2 USB-C Thunderbolt ports. I could theoretically connect a external GPU, which is basically an external graphics card, or a housing for an external graphics card, which means I could still use this normal computing power of my notebook when it comes to the CPU, but when it comes to the GPU, I could have basically an additional housing here I wouldn't take with me whenever I take this notebook for traveling on the road. When it comes to the height here, this is very important. So I have this strip here, which is a rubber strip, which has one adhesive side, and this basically holds my notebook in place. Apart from this, my notebook also has a rubber strip down here, and I have taped my notebook in order to avoid scratches and also in order to avoid theft, because a notebook that looks like this, it looks not very good actually, and also after time it looks like this. If you have it in the library or in the bus, people will just take less notice compared to a situation where it looks very shiny like this. At least that's my current theory. For the longest time, I wanted to have one port that connects everything. The problem is just I haven't found the right power supply, which actually acts as a power supply for my notebook, which would have USB-C power delivery, which this one has. This is the Satechi charger, and it charges my notebook theoretically with, I think, 60 watts or 45 watts. I'm not completely sure on that. 20 volts, 3 amps. This means 60 watts output at max for the USB-C port. The problem is just my notebook has a problem somehow with this charger being too unstable or something like this. Therefore, I still have the normal charger, which is in the back here, connected to my notebook. I also still have, this is also a nice feature about the HP Spectra, being that it still has legacy ports and also the additional barrel plug. This means I can charge my notebook whenever I need it to charge it quick with the normal charger that comes with the notebook. But whenever I am on the road, at least theoretically, I can charge my notebook via these ports, USB-C, Thunderbolt or power delivery with a travel charger or a multi-charger. I actually have two of these. I also had a few different ones before. I think two before. The one burned because, well, didn't work so well. And this one has normal USB-C ones and also one power delivery port up to 30 watts. And this one, as we already discussed, has one power delivery port, and the other ones are also USB-A. 3 USB-A. This is currently kind of the best thing. There is also another version which now has more wattage, I think 90 or 100 watts, but less USB-A ports. I wanted to have a charger that would be my one charger. If I took one charger on the road with me, it should be able to cover all my devices, including my Canon EOS M50, including my main recording device with the Zoom H6, basically everything in the studio, apart from the lights obviously, should be able to be powered by USB. My phone, my notebook, this here, my watch, also just USB. And you need a lot of USB-As also if you charge additional power banks. For example, if you are in a hostel overnight. Now currently I don't have a network or LAN cable attached to it, even though I have theoretically the option to just connect it here. I forgot to start the video again, so therefore what I was saying is that I had in the past multiple hubs, USB-C hubs, but were unstable when connected to my notebook. This meant that my main drives at some point got basically corrupted and I had huge data loss multiple times, which was the reason I now am sticking to a better connection. What I actually have here is an adapter that adapts basically this cable to a normal USB-A cable, which then connects to my USB-A hub. Additionally, what I also have connected on here to complete the cables on here, so the 4 cables for the drives, I also have an old school cable, micro USB actually, that has an adapter that is able to connect my phone whenever I need to transfer files. And also I have just my Zoom H6, which is also an audio interface, now at all times connected to my notebook. This means whenever I power it on, it gives me the option to have an SD card reader or also to have an audio interface. Then you click on stereo and then you click on PC Mac. So this means it's drawing power from the USB-A hub. And this means I now have a fully functioning microphone which can record up to 6 inputs, including these 2, directly to my notebook for screen recordings, for example. The reason I have this bed here is because this whole thing is actually a studio apartment, which is quite small, but in the central city, or central location in the city, which meant I would have paid significantly more if I, well, had more space. This means I opted for a smaller studio in a better location. Additionally, I had decided to go with a furnished apartment, which means I also have a laundry basement or a laundry room where I can easily wash all my clothes, and I also have things like these, like this one, and also the bed, which I used in the studio kind of as a setup because this was the only location where it would be symmetrical, but at the same time I would have all the room left in this space. When it comes to the instruments, I have this stand, which was a gift from a relative, and I have my 4 main guitars on here. I used to have a 5th guitar, but I left the 5th guitar at another place. Additionally, I have a cajon down here, which is basically a portable drum. Now, finally, when it comes to recording, the situation looks like this. Here I have a monopod which has a microphone. I found out that the monopod is actually quite a good hold because I can just easily put it on here and then just detach these things and then pull it out. And then the microphone is falling down. Down here I have my loop station, which allows me to create a loop with multiple samples I record, and basically allows me to be kind of my own band. If you know Ed Sheeran's music, it's mostly loop music, so this is what the loop station does. The loop station has an output, and this output goes to the interface. And since phones these days are also computers, I can very easily use the output from my Zoom H6 and input it into, or use it as an input, as an audio input for a Galaxy S10. Even a clean Galaxy S10 works. What I additionally have is a headphone jack, which is very useful because then I can connect directly something like the mic I'm currently using, which is the Rode Lavalier Go, which connects directly to my phone. The only problem is that it connects directly to my phone and this doesn't work, so that's a mistake I frequently am making still. I need to connect it to this adapter, which then improves the audio. And now the audio should be improved. So we covered the instruments, we covered the recording station, we covered also my podcasting mic, which is also my normal video mic. I just put it in here, and this is an additional pop filter, this is a wind filter that filters out the clipping sounds. Basically, if you say something like P, then sometimes microphones clip. When it comes to positioning my phone onto eye level, I usually just input my Galaxy S10. I actually got two currently of these. And on Amazon, I found this very flexible stand or holder that actually is able to record in both formats, in 16:9 or in 9:16, or in portrait or in landscape, which are just words for the same thing. This is the Gorillapod 5K, which is my portable tripod as well as my tripod here, since I didn't invest in better microphone stands yet, which would also hold my phone. This is kind of also a phone holder. The problem is just it's made out of metal and therefore you cannot very easily adjust it because it bounces back and forth and it takes quite a little bit of time to actually adjust it to the right level. My normal video setup is then therefore having the headlight here, having an additional light down here. Sometimes I have it maybe displaying light on here. You can also change the lighting situation by using this switch, which gives you options like different colors. Also there is a mode where it just changes the color. And if you actually have something like this and you hit the right angle, then you get lens flares, which is something that's very interesting, at least visually. Last but not least, my background. Since this is a studio, here we see the kitchen. So I needed to find a way to have a video background that would not have everyone see what is in my kitchen. Why? Because I think it just looks more professional and allows me to have more flexibility when it comes to recording videos. Therefore, I have these stands here, which connect to a barrel, which is also detachable, or you could say you can actually take these things apart and travel with these. Not very well, but at least for moving it works. And then additionally, I have my guitar cases and bags up here, and here is the second one, which just goes into the barrel itself. And then I have clamps that clamp the whole thing. This was actually part of the same set that the softboxes, these 3 softboxes, also were part of. This means I have 5 crappy stands in total, and 2 of these stands are mounted onto better professional stands. And I have additionally to this video background 2 other video backgrounds. One is white, and additionally I have a green one, which you can see here. And that concludes the full tour of, I think that at least visually looks very impressive. And also is a studio that's only in a 15 square meter home. But I think the different parts of the studio just make it very, also just look at the switch. Kitchen / private home, studio, kitchen, studio, kitchen, studio. You might ask where I sleep. Since I sleep on the floor, I just use this space and sleep on the floor. 2 other additions. First, I actually ordered a better USB-C hub, or at least one USB-C hub, since I currently don't have something. And what I ordered is the Anker 555, not 555, 655. This allows me to connect with one port ideally, just like this. It actually also has an angled port. Not port, but connector. That ideally then means I could just place my notebook up here and remove the HDMI and the power port, maybe also replacing this in the future because, as I said, this provides unstable power. The Anker 655 is a USB-C hub, a 8-in-1 USB-C hub, 10 gigabytes of data, 100 watts power delivery you can input, and it outputs 85 watts of this to the notebook. It's meant for MacBook, but I think it works also for the Spectra. The nice thing about this is it is a travel port hub as well as a normal port hub. If I would actually go with the eGPU, I would have to go with a Thunderbolt hub because these USB-C hubs only usually go up to 10 gigabits per second. But in order to have the full bandwidth of 40 gigabits per second, which is the normal bandwidth of a Thunderbolt port, I would actually have to buy for 250 to 350 a Thunderbolt hub. But since currently the drives are the only thing that is the maximum speed basically I need, and the drives do not have more than 10 gigabytes per second of connection speed, I can very easily go with something like this, connect my HDMI and also my Ethernet, which is also not up to the speed of, or is basically not reaching the speed limit USB-C, but certified on the 3.2 or 3.1 standard. And as you can see here, this was actually the only hub that had two native ports that had USB-A 3.2 10 gigabits, whereas another one, the Anker 565, which would have even more ports, but as you can see by the blue thing, it has an additional USB-C port, which is nice. But whenever I'm on the road, I need to be able to connect at least two of these drives, one as the main drive and two as the backup drive, in order to be able to make backups on the road. And therefore, even though this looks very shiny, and it also doesn't have the angled port or the angled connector, which I think is a benefit, at least in the situation where you have an angled port in the back and therefore connect the thing very easily. A huge problem as of recently was that the USB-A port was, or the adapter or the thing that connects to my notebook, was constantly sticking out, and since I have this here and also I'm moving my mouse here, it was a constant hassle to not damage the cable. Therefore, I think I found a good solution with this hub if it works with my setup. That's a complete tour of my new studio, and I hope you enjoyed the ride. The reason I talked so slow is because I try to speak more clearly, more pronounced, since I tend to mumble, and I try to combat this thing.